Hey people, welcome to a bit of a change of scenery. We're at Woburn Bike Park, which is where my love for dirt jumps and trails all began many years ago. But for the first time in all of those years, Woburn's seen absolutely no bikes, like nothing. No one's ridden here. It's shut, it's still shut to bikes. But we've come for a walk around to check out how it's all doing, because this time last year was the Woburn Trails Jam, where we had like insane stuff going down up on the massive burn line, which we'll check out, and these trails. But now there's not seen any bikes, and I just want to see what that does to these trails. I know this sand, I know these jumps so well, but this has never happened. So I've been pretty desperate to see what the score is. And first impressions, it's very dry. It's like a different colour to what I remember seeing Woburn. It's been so dry in the UK. So all the moisture's gone out of the jumps. Everything's rock hard. Actually, ow, but not as ow as my, yeah, it's not as hard. Oh, I don't even want to touch them, it's that dry. It's not as hard as the backyard clay trails. So it's going to be so sick to reminisce about what all these years of digging have gone into, and hopefully get a bit of inspiration for the backyard, because the jumps are getting bigger now and you guys give the best inspiration and the best ideas. But coming here and just getting some trails stimulus in the eyeballs is going to be rad. I think it's going to help with shaping the rest of the jumps. So let's go and check out the burn line, and let's check out these epic trails. This is the burn line. This is like Woburn's pinnacle freeride line, and it's, I'd say, the biggest freeride line in the UK. It is enormous. Like, words from my mouth can't do a fair job of describing how big this step down is. It's over 40 foot long. It's claimed frames, back wheels. Like, if you case that by a margin of millimeters, your bike explodes. It's the most terrifying but awesome jump. Can you even see the landing from there?
It's there.
I'm going to stand on the landing. Like, look how big it is! You have to jump all of that. At home, I've got 4 or 5 jumps probably that fill that space. And this, there's not even much of a takeoff. It's just like, it feels like you go off it like a rocket. It got made 5 foot bigger since I last jumped it on my hardtail, so I haven't even ever jumped it at this size. And come and look at the jump afterwards. Bearing in mind this was all built by hand with shovels. What is this jump? It's actually stupid, isn't it? I can't believe it. Just having come in here with a fresh pair of eyes, it might seem weird that I'm this excited and bewildered by the jumps. They're no bigger. If anything, they've dried out and got smaller from the wind, but they're just, that landing was made by hand. And my back hurts from moving 100 tons. It's massive. This is about as big as it gets building jumps by hand. Months went into that landing. Just one landing, not even a feature, just the landing. It's so sick. The burn line is the pinnacle of freeride at Woburn. It is dry though. Like, problem is you wouldn't be able to come here with a shovel and fix it. It's too dry. So Woburn's, the whole place is desperate for rain. Sand is definitely a winter material. They haven't got hose pipe here, so I am fortunate with the backyard. But I think we should go and check out the trails, because I do need some inspiration. I'm just desperate to like remind myself how fun this place is. I haven't appreciated it like this for a long time. We're at the start of the trails line, but it's worth noting that with no tyres or bikes to disrupt the dirt, it's actually, I want to say it's the smoothest I've ever seen it. Like, there's a layer of dust, which isn't that bad, it's only thin, but everything is so smooth, weirdly. I'd expect it to look all broken up and destroyed. It does all need rain, but it's nice to know that this one pump bump in the entire woods is going to survive if the rain's too heavy. But this right hip, obviously a lot bigger than the start of my line back home.
Is it?
It is a little bit smaller. The last one, the right hip we've built now, competes with this, doesn't it? Yeah. If anything, it's taller. But this all looks fine. Like, it's got carpet on it to help, which is good news. This is sick. It's all massive. It is big. I won't be scared to ride here, but coming back here, I mean, it's going to still be a few more weeks. It might be a bit like the feelings, when people come here and ride for the first time, they sit up on the roller and they're a bit hesitant, and I think in my head it's like, just ride them, man, just hit 1, 2, 3, 4, go all the way through to session. And I can see now why staring down this hip is daunting. It's a big landing. It is a big landing. It's bigger than I've ever seen it with my own eyes, which is weird. Race jump looks pretty good, needs a brush. And then this one, the left hip, is a beast. But look at the tree. You actually couldn't jump that right now, could you? I guess the drainage all still works. Not that it's been tested for a while. That runs down into the mega pit there, which we'll look at. But yeah, this is the third feature. Really, really big landing on this. That left hip is probably 6 or 7 years old now. You always have to add more and more dirt and more sand to these jumps because they do degrade with time, and as you case them, obviously I'm pretty guilty of that at times, you blow corners off. So it is always an ongoing process, but this is one of the jumps here that's changed the most over those years. There's been like a straight jump into a berm, a 90-degree hip that was over there, but what we settled on was a true 90-degree hip, and this is the fourth. I think the last jump on the line back home in the garden, this is probably a mini version of this. It's just 90, the back end comes out, front wheel dive, and when you land it good, you are charging, which is why I know that the next jump we film in the backyard is going to have to be like really juicy and really big and a lot of dirt.
It's so much bigger when you stand next to it.
Which is bizarre, because when we built this stuff, like we only put the side on this landing a few months ago, and it just felt like normal Woburn digging. But I think the sand is easier, it is lighter to work with, but there's always been such an epic team of people building here. Berm. This has been a shark fin. We tried to have a berm into a double roller, and again, trial and error. This worked out so good. You ride, look at tyre marks on this. There's a front tyre mark there. Really high up. So you can ride the absolute top of this berm. I'd love a big berm like that at home. There's a lot of dirt in these things, but if we're ever going to go back up to the start of the trails line, we are going to need a berm like this. Then the fifth is kind of a little breather. It's a bit of a break. It's not as big as the previous stuff. But the mad thing is about this line is you start going back uphill, which is important because the fact that we made it work here, again, means that it's not out of the question or out of the odds to turn the trails round and go back up to the start in the backyard. If that place loops together, like this does, all the way back round, it's going to be all time. The mega pit, that's all clear. And then, again, this was like 25 trial and error things. Greg, Tony and Sam, I remember coming up here and this was like moved 10 foot that way, 10 foot that way, but we finally settled on this. You push through it, race up there, and then you just almost go weightless over the roller, and it forms like the high point back towards the start. So you've actually come uphill from that berm down there. You've pumped your way back uphill. Left berm with like 300 sandbags of dirt inside. It's in good condition. I'm very, very surprised. I think the fact that people have respected the rules, not come here and ridden, is mainly the reason that it still looks fresh. That is just baked like a brick wall. The trails turn around again, double roller. It really looks like it's been swept and looked after, but no one's been here.
The wind, could the wind?
Yeah, wind would probably clear. It's such a fine dust, the wind could clear it. You know, one thing that stands out to me,
What?
No cracks.
Oh, mate.
Sand doesn't crack like clay. I wish the stuff we had finished like that and stayed like that. That is absolute stone. How can that become that? That's the same material.
So strange.
Oh, I wish it didn't crack. But this is cool, sand's amazing. This jump's sick. That's another jump that we don't have in the line. We don't have a straight steep lip step up. El Grande is a very cool jump with lots of dirt in it. But having ridden this one, you can see the angle of that takeoff. It's way steeper and, oh man. I want to have, it's a lot of wants here, but I know we can achieve this. A jump like that in the line where it's steep, not a big gap, but stepped up, so it's all about doing big whips. You're going upwards. A big berm to change direction would be amazing. And maybe somewhere where you really dig down deep and get low so you can, like that. That was such a clever thing to come back. Like the other side of this pile is just a huge mega pit. So it's good to know that we can go back uphill. It's been interesting walking around. This is the small line, which is the most recent addition to Woburn. And it's nice actually that it's not just the huge complex line and there's a straight set of jumps. They're not tiny, but they're very doable. They're not steep, they've got good case pads, and they get really interesting. It goes big 180 right berm, left berm. Mad how it overhangs like this. Just dry, so dry. Again, if people had been coming here and like breaking the rules, it wouldn't look as good as it does. It's really preserved Woburn nicely for the time we do have rain and we can have good sessions. I'm skipping a bit out here. There's some cool stuff, but look at this. That is a chunky piece. We built a chunky piece, but that is a chunky piece. There was a dig day months back. It was such a horrible wet day and so many cool people turned up to help on a wet day. They certainly did more digging than me that day. This was like the product of that event. Some serious graft. And this has never ever been jumped. It lays waiting for tyres and tricks. And how you get to it is through this. I mean, what do you even call that?
Well, I remember you calling that the M25, I think.
It is, yeah. It's like a dual carriageway, isn't it?
Yeah.
Through an underpass.
Yeah.
The underpass. And it's tarped. It's protected from the elements. Massive, that is.
Huge.
Hefty. The size of that.
Oh, very nice.
This is the big hit. Let's go run around the other side of this. Because this is the furthest. I know.
Massive.
I know. Imagine how many wheelbarrows. Possible, but I'll probably count myself out of building that on my own with you. It's not going to happen, is it? That is an almighty piece. It's like a dam. Like Hoover Dam. This is as far as anyone's ever got on the trails. The hip was here for the jam last year, but it had 2 takeoffs. Now it's got 1 takeoff. Again, it's 90 degrees. It goes left, so this line's got a 90 right hip and a 90 left hip. And then, I don't even know what to call this. Dirt quarter pipe, I think. Sam Johnson drew up this, and it seemed very, very feasible on paper, but the time to stack it. The whole point of the bathtub is like a centerpiece, so you could chink your front wheel or your pedal on it as you carve over it. That bath has been at these trails since my first ever memory of Woburn. It was in a jump that was about here, I think. The main line. I remember when we dug it up and moved the jumps, we found the bathtub. Sam explained that it's just always been here. It was a good way of using less dirt. If anyone else out there is digging trails and they haven't got enough dirt, rip your bath out the bathroom. It won't be called a bathroom anymore, it'll just be a room. But you'll have a bigger jump. That's how you get into this and the last big jump. So there's actually a lot of stuff which has had so much time invested in it that hasn't been rewarded with bikes. And that time's going to come. It's going to be exciting because the ground's harder than ever, which means the trails will roll faster. Just need water and permission, but that hasn't come yet, so you guys will have to wait for the videos and we'll have to wait for the biking. So it has been really good just coming here today, checking out the jumps, and quite humbling in a way, just knowing that this place exists and is where my love for mountain biking came from and what really got me to where I am today. So Woburn's dope. Thank you to everyone who's respected the rules as well. Obeying the rules of not coming here is the only reason it still exists. There was a threat of it being completely flattened and bulldozed, but that's been avoided because everyone's been so patient and so supportive of the rules and of our responsibility as mountain bikers to keep this place running. So I'm willing to wait, but I just can't wait to be back here. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be so good. Another jam has to happen. That could be the return to sport for Woburn. So thanks guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. A little insight into the fact that Woburn still has everything. It's so much cooler than my trails, but it's had more time. We're on the up, we'll get there. Thanks for all the support guys. I'll see you again back in the backyard. Legends.